Hi everyone, Coach Tyler here with Brave Fit, bringing you top tips on how to get more fruit and more veg into your diet. Tip number one, pair your foods. Whatever you like to eat now, think about how you can incorporate more fruit and veg into that. So add it to the foods you're already eating. So let's say we're eating pizza. If you're making homemade fresh pizza at home, you can top it with some nice fresh tomatoes, make your own fresh tomato sauce, incorporate some onions and peppers into that. You can top it with those nice leafy greens, so your spinach. There's a lot of essential vitamins and nutrients inside your leafy green vegetables. So spinach, kale, that sort of thing. Of course, your fresh herbs as well, your thyme, your basil, your rosemary, that sort of thing. You can incorporate that into your sauce. It's very Italian. Also, if you're doing dips, I know for me, I love hummus. I'm eating hummus a few times a week, and I used to always be eating my hummus with corn tortilla chips. So yeah, corn, but they were, fried or extra heavily salted, super processed, just something that wasn't necessarily good for me, but I was essentially just using them as a hummus carrier. So rather than use my tortilla chips every day, like I was previously, now when I go for my hummus a couple times a week, I am using celery or carrots or cucumber, and those are carrying a lot more nutrients than my previous tortilla chips, and of course it's attributing to my 5 a day. So that's another way you can pair food. Also on your sandwiches, whatever type of sandwich you're eating, for me it's probably going to be a veg sandwich anyways, but if you are an omnivore, if you're eating some meat, something like that, you can definitely layer that sandwich with some sliced tomato. You can do your leafy green vegetables, onion, that's all the normal stuff that you normally think of anyway. My next tip number 2, shop accordingly. So right now, especially when we're in these times of quarantine and most places still, and we're not probably going to the shop as much or going out to eat, out to dinner, we're spending a lot of time at home. So it's important that we are shopping properly and keeping the right foods in our house. Because whereas before I might run down to the store at the urge for ice cream or something like that, now I'm not going to the shop as much because I'm told to stay at home. So I'm literally only going to be eating what's in my house. So if you prepare a nice shopping list that's covering your basis for fruits, vegetables, and the rest of all of your healthy planned meals, that is all you're going to be eating. So when you're buying snacks during the week, rather than buying, potato chips and granola bars that are, they sometimes look healthy, but are incredibly high in sugar and other processed junk, all those xanthium gums and weird things that you can't pronounce. Rather than getting all that, get your carrots, get your celery, get some apples, peaches, plums, berries. Get what you think you'll eat that week. And then when you're in the middle of the afternoon, you're standing up, you're getting ready to go for a snack, you're not going to have the option of grabbing those potato chips. So you are going to grab a healthy option. So prepare accordingly. Buy what you want to eat, what you should eat. Tip number 3, I would say prep. So when I say that, I don't mean necessarily meal prep. Meal prep is great if you have, if you're into that, take the time out on a Sunday, get everything ready in advance. But even on a small scale, I would say prep your food. So if I have my onions diced up, my peppers diced up, tomatoes, whatever veg, even my spinach on the go, my kale chopped, all that veg, if I have it prepared and ready to go, when I'm making my meal at night, it's going to cut off that much time, and I'm going to be that much more inclined to throw it into the meal. So just set a few minutes aside when you have it and prep up some food. Also, snacks, your celery, your carrots, your cucumber, whatever your nibbles are for the day, have those ready, have them portioned out. even your berries and stuff. You don't want to be, I mean, they're great, but you don't want to be eating handfuls and handfuls of berries. Not only is that going to be quite expensive, you might get, it's just not good. So everything in moderation. So prep that stuff out accordingly, have it ready on the go, and you're more likely to go for it. Your next tip number 4. Tip number 4. A lot of people, their challenge with certain vegetables a lot of times, or fruits even. So with vegetables, I would say the most often that I hear this about is probably mushrooms or eggplant, aubergine, that sort of thing. A lot of people don't like it because of the texture. All right, so here is my hack for that. If you're not liking a food because of texture, chop it up real small. Even onions. I mean, parents do this all the time to their kids. They dice it up so it's almost not noticeable. You definitely can't see it, and incorporate it into the food that way. So you are still getting your you're still getting your vitamins and your nutrients, but you're not having to go through that awkward texture phase in your mouth that you just really don't like. And what you might notice with that is over time, you will start to really enjoy the flavors that those foods are bringing out. And if you get a little bit bigger with them over time, that texture may provide less and less of a barrier when it comes to eating those certain foods. So if it's a texture thing, dice it up small, incorporate it into your diet for a bit, give it about 2 to 3 weeks, and you'll notice your taste buds start to change. You actually really start to enjoy these foods that you thought you would never like. Tip number 5, when it comes to cost, I would say, cutting costs. So a lot of people, the barrier is, well, I don't want to buy fresh produce and all my vegetables, my fruit, I buy a bunch with good intentions at the beginning of the week, and then it just turns so quick and it's out. And I have large waste and it's expensive food. I don't want to just toss it. Okay, so when it comes to that, I would say, again, have a plan. So you're buying what you need at the beginning of the week. But also, a lot of these vegetables and fruits, you're able to freeze them. So if something, I know with us, sometimes like I bought a giant bag of kale, I'm not going to eat it all. Even that, I can prep some of it up and have it in the freezer ready to go for next time. So before it goes bad, I'm freezing it. Even things like chives, I got a big thing of them. I'm just sprinkling little bits on some of my food. Okay, so what do I do with all those leftovers? I throw in an old takeaway container and I throw it in the freezer, label it for when I'm ready to use it. Also, just buying the frozen veg and fruit to begin with. So bags of frozen berries are really cost effective, and you can incorporate those into your smoothies. And frozen veg is really easy to come across, incredibly cheap, and a lot of people think, oh, well, maybe that doesn't have the nutrients anymore. But actually, when it comes to frozen veg and fruit, those are being picked at their peak ripeness, basically when it is best for you, and they're immediately being frozen. So most of that, the vital nutrients and vitamins are actually being encapsulated at that time, and then they are there for you when you're ready to digest them. So don't worry, you're still getting the nutrients, you're still getting your vitamins. It's just frozen, more cost effective. Next tip 6, season. So season. This goes for vegetables or not vegetables. If you want your food to taste good, season it. So in the kitchen, experiment with what you like, but a little bit of salt and pepper does go a long way on everything. It really enhances those flavors, just really drives them out. You'll notice a huge difference if you just start to season your foods, maybe if you weren't before. Some top seasonings that I like to use, I like spicy food, so I'm using a lot of cumin, a lot of cayenne pepper, a lot of smoked paprika. just really good, intense flavors. It pairs nicely with all the veg. You can also do like your Italian seasonings with the herbs, the thyme, the basil, the oregano. But practice with it, I would say. Just see what works for you, because you're really going to start to see all these new flavors and realize you liked things that possibly you never did before. So I would say that is another tip outside of seasoning. Just experiment. Go out there, try everything, see what works for you. So get adventurous with your veg. A lot of these meals can be made super quick and super easy. So especially if you're doing a vegetable only dish, a plant-based diet like myself, I'm never having to worry about how long I have to cook the meat for. It's just veg, so I'm just making it nice and taste good, and then I'm ready to eat it. A lot of it can be eaten raw as well. So if you're worried about these recipes being difficult, there's tons of stuff out there on the internet. I suggest you go and look. 10-minute recipes, 10-minute veg recipes. What do I do with veg? There is a ton of information out there. So myself, I have some recipes on my YouTube channel. You can check those out. We just posted a couple videos on Instagram TV, one for pancakes and one for homemade falafel. Both are able to be made in less than 10 minutes with super, super basic ingredients. So there's no excuse about time or crazy ingredients. All the things we make are incredibly basic and usually very quick. So check it out, try it, let us know what you think.